This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Unfiltered discussions. Unexpected guests. No topic is off limits. From sex and relationships to the human condition, personal anxieties, and so much more. The only talk show of its kind in the world. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Hello and welcome. It's Hump Day on The Last Show, and things will hopefully get a little interesting tonight. Here's what you'll learn before the end of the program. Long before the pyramids, ancient Sumerians told stories of powerful beings, deities called the Anunnaki. Gods who were said to have come from the heavens, ruled over humanity, and maybe, just maybe, were really extraterrestrial visitors. I'll have a believer on. I'm myself a skeptic, but what's really behind these ancient stories? Divine rulers, misunderstood myths, or aliens with an agenda? In 10 minutes' time, we'll share with you the facts, the fantasies, and fascinating theories of the long-gone Anunnaki. Later in the program, things will get salacious as we discuss sex myths. We'll chat what you might be getting wrong about adult toys, who buys them, when you should or shouldn't be using them. We hope you learn 1 or 2 things that you can use to enjoy things. Sensitive listeners and parents with kids, you might want to cover your ears for this one, but that'll be next hour. For now, let's jump in.
Want to be part of The Last Show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
And in Do You Think Your Commute and Sitting in Traffic to Go to Work is Bad? There's someone with a commute way worse than you news. We are joined by Tony 5, foreign correspondent in London, England, to talk about a nurse who has a bad commute, a really bad one. Tony, welcome in.
David, what a pleasure it is to be here. A wonderful job, a NICU nurse. So one of these wonderful people that devotes their life to looking after newborn babies and very early premature babies in Sweden, of all places, which is in Europe, my hometown. Now, you might think her commute is bad. David, how far do you think her commute is?
5 hours.
About 5 hours? Yeah, give or take. Let's say 5,000 miles, my friend.
How does she do it? She walks?
Yep, she swims there. No, she flies to San Francisco for 4 shifts a month, and that apparently pays so well that it covers her month's rent in Sweden.
What? She must have a high-profile nursing job in San Francisco.
Absolutely not. She is there's no such thing as a standard nurse. She's a specialist NICU nurse. Apparently San Francisco and nursing there, especially in that specialism, is the highest paid in the US, in that country. And the equivalent is like $30 an hour, roughly, in Sweden, the average, to $120 or like $116 in the US. So she does, I think, 12-hour shifts. She stays in the US with a friend. She has all of her stuff in the car, her nursing outfit, and does 4 or 5 shifts and whatever she can get, and is fully qualified to work in the US, but strangely not in Sweden.
So she's American, I guess.
Well, she's Swedish.
Well, then how is she not qualified to work in Sweden if she's Swedish?
Because you'd have to have qualifications.
Oh, I thought it was immigration. She took like the U.S. nursing.
Yeah, like qualifications to do it. No, not. It's not like you where you're a foreign alien and get kicked out, whatever. No, she's a proper one. But she's an American nurse who then lives in Sweden So her immigration status doesn't matter. It's just the fact that she doesn't have the qualifications to work in Sweden.
So she spends like 24 hours on a plane, works really hard for a week, and then gets 3 weeks off.
Essentially, and she must order her flights in advance because she only pays $500. So how she gets from Sweden to San Francisco for $500, she must book them in advance, books the shifts with the hospital, and does it. But that's an amazing commute. I wonder if that's the longest ever commute.
I don't know. I assume like diplomats go further. They go from like their home country around the world, but are they doing it once a month?
And you kind of expect that, right? Whereas, a nurse is a blue collar job, right? And you wouldn't expect someone to go intercontinental for their job, but she obviously must love what she does. It's a fantastic job, in all fairness, looking after children. It's a stressful job. And she does it. And, what an amazing way to live your life. And she's a mother of one as well.
Oh, wow. 116 an hour. That's not too bad. And then a 12-hour shift. That's like over $1,000 a day.
So she's doing really well. And then she only has to do, like you said, 4 or 5 shifts. And she covers her flights. She also covers her rent for the month. And then she has all of this time to do whatever she wants back in Sweden, like skiing, eating cheese. This is what they do in Sweden, David.
They ever eat cheese and ski at the same time?
I don't know. That may be for a specialist.
She says that her work-life balance is much better now, but I actually don't think that's that balance. It sounds very manic to me. It's like insane flight, work, overwork, and then total relaxation for 3 weeks. I don't know that I would like that.
You don't like the burst of energy, and then nothing. But can you imagine her air miles? My God, she could do that. She could buy a hospital soon.
Yeah, she's probably like the elite tier. They pull out the red carpet for her.
And just let her sort of swing around and stuff like that. It was great. And she can't live in the States because obviously rent in America is quite
expensive.
So in comparison, her rent in Sweden must be much cheaper. So she's kind of got the best of both worlds. And obviously Sweden is much nicer because it's got lovely air and mountains. You haven't got mountains or air in North America.
There is mountains and air around San Francisco. So,
well, nobody's told me that, David. That's definitely news to me.
And in These Aren't Someone's Drugs, Weapons, and Money, even though the cops found them in their home news, we go to Thunder Bay, Ontario, where a man got busted with weapons, drugs, 750 G's in cash in their house, and they used the classic, this contraband and illegal stuff in my house is not mine, which I think is a great defense. I don't know why the judge didn't buy it.
It's solid, David. I do like that. I would like to see if I could get away with that. I mean, $750,000 is definitely over $500,000, isn't it?
Something like that. But not only that, it's not like they could say, a friend stashed their stuff in my closet and I never checked the closet. The stuff that the cops found was in plain view, like lying on a table or whatever. So, that's not mine. It was firearms, crack, cannabis, cocaine, Oxycontin, and then, of course, the pound of cash. So,
wow. And the police just said, no, you've got to give us a better excuse than that. You're coming with us. I mean, how is that even possible? Because the police obviously kicked the door down and just say, what's going on? And did he just say, not me, I'm just here for the pizza?
Do drug dealers have good pizza notoriously? Is that?
I guess so. I've never tried cocaine on my cheese and tomato, but maybe it works. Maybe it's a thing.
Anyway, the drugs, weapons, and money in my house defense did not work, and the 2 guys who were in the house got 9 years and 8 years, respectively.
Wow. I mean, that's not very respectful of the judge, but I mean, yeah, fair enough. Wow. Can you imagine them in the penitentiary? Like people like, there's all this prison talk. Like, what did you get done for? How did you get caught? Was it a shootout? Were the police chasing you? No. They just came into my house and found the stuff on the table. What an awful way to get caught and do 9 years.
I agree. And isn't that the common defense that you see on TV shows like Cops or even in the movies when cops find drugs on you and people are like, it's not mine, and they always get busted for it? I feel like you could have come up with a better explanation than that.
Wait a minute, are you blaming the Hollywood industry for giving these guys an excuse? Are you blaming cinema?
No, I'm saying the opposite. The Hollywood industry should have indicated to these guys that saying this stuff isn't mine is a lousy defense.
I like that. I would love to know if ever, I always have this conversation with you, if ever in the world one of these excuses works. Because for every time this happens, I have to admit, like a million times happens, but one time did the cops just go, okay, no worries, guys, I'll see you later.
I suppose we may never know about it because it wouldn't have gone to court and it wouldn't have made news unless there's some scandal later on that the public is mad that these people didn't get caught.
Well, if you're a crack cocaine dealer, give us a show. Give us a call on the show. Let us know how you got away with it with this absolutely feeble excuse.
All right, if the cops came to your house and you had illegal stuff lying around, you said it wasn't yours and you got off, give us a call. The number coming up now. Tony, thanks for being here.
Wasn't me, David. It wasn't me.
Tony 5 is our foreign correspondent, and he'll be back later in the program. Coming up after the break, several ancient societies depicted deities known as the Anunnaki. Modern analysis by people a little less skeptical than me have said these ancient deities could have been alien visitors that gifted us technology. Whether they did or didn't, the fact remains ancient depictions of them show wild technology and really are compelling. So coming up next, we will learn all about the Anunnaki.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644. Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.
We work hard to strike the right amount of intelligence and ignorance. The last show with David Cooper.
Questions questioned. Answers answered. We go to the strange world of the Anunnaki. They are ancient deities. Were they gods? Were they myths? Are we descended from them? We will discuss that and more with Noah Cappe. It's Noah versus the unknown. Dramatic pause there. Noah, welcome in.
I'm back.
That seems like horror movie coded. Like, I'm back and you got a knife and then are you going to stab me? And please don't.
Well, listen, you're the only one who can see the knife. This is audio for everyone else. Good to be here as always. And somehow, some way, my man, we keep finding a way to elevate, to raise the bar. We've talked about big things, the pyramids, the moon, ancient sites, the Nazca lines, all of it. But somehow, some way, we have never discussed what might be the biggest piece of humanity's puzzle, the Anunnaki.
Let's go back to the beginning. What do we know about them from ancient texts? What can be said of them for those who've never heard the word Anunnaki?
Well, the Sumerians, which is a culture that if we're going to plop in on a timeline, we're going to say somewhere around 4,000, 4,500 BC. All right. This is back when this is like supposed to be the beginning of advanced civilization, of like agriculture, of all these things. The Sumerians talk about a history at that time, but also a deeper history of this planet that all connects to these sky gods called the Anunnaki. Now, this obviously ties into this ancient alien theory, which people, I think, when they hear that, they think of the History Channel show. They think of all Giorgio Tsoukalos and all the wacky hair memes and whatever. But the ancient alien theory is basically saying that in the Bible, for example, when people talk about an angel descending from the heavens in a fiery, whatever, or a winged thing, whatever, that is ancient people trying to depict something that they have never seen, that they don't understand, right? That they're actually maybe future astronauts coming down in a space shuttle, but to them, what do you think is happening? That's a god.
Well, there's the Arthur C. Clarke quote that any advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So early people on the earth observing aliens visiting the earth would think they were gods.
100%.
It is a fun kind of like, for me, not enough evidence, but a fun sci-fi thought experiment. Was life or was early human technology, or was the jump from us being primates to like having agriculture, having civilizations, was it somehow assisted by extraterrestrial tech? Or information, right, or meddling with our DNA, or who knows what.
100%. And this story kind of checks all these boxes because if you go through the history of time, there are just certain odd anomalies. As people, we can sit here and say, if you believe in evolution, if you think that we came from apes and that we, advanced and we whatever,
share a common ancestor,
that we share a common ancestor, that's the kind of, it all goes back to a primordial sludge and that we evolved from things to a lizard to a this, that, whatever. There is a problem with that timeline. There is a period of time where there is a massive change where it goes from what we would consider apes and primates to what feels like people with consciousness. Like there is a shift. Now, the Sumerians talk about the beginning of this planet's history and that these Anunnaki, these sky people, these people from another planet, which will tie into Zecharia Sitchin and his most recent theory about Nibiru, and that they're from a planet called Nibiru that rotates around our solar system every 3,600 years. It's a missing planet.
Well, are you aware of the dark planet, like Planet 9, that astronomers think that there's some sort of Saturn-sized planet that is way out there, and it's so far from the sun it's dark, but we can see its gravitational effects on some of the asteroid belts?
100%. And this ties into, there is a famous tablet. It's actually kind of like a copper scroll. And I want to make sure I get the name right. It's a cylinder seal VA243. If you are anywhere listening to this and you can type that in to see this image, the cylinder seal VA243. This picture, this image is... Well, it's bananas. It's basically you're looking at what clearly seems to be a group of advanced, they just don't look like somebody that you think you would see at the beginning of civilization. And on the wall above their heads, this group of these kings meeting, whatever it is, and they're all holding these, what looks like weird tech and all this, whatever, is what looks like a sun surrounded by 9 planets in almost the exact layout of our planets. But everybody at that time is like, well, we only have 8. Where's this 9th planet? Whatever. There's our 9th planet. Maybe out there in the darkness, maybe on a massive orbit. But this depiction from 5,000, where nobody's got a telescope, nobody's looking past anything that the human eye can see, seems to depict the layout of our solar system and planets. So this race, this story, has these odd connections. Now, the story is that the Anunnaki descended and basically were mining, were taking resources from the planet, and that they were tired of labor, of doing work, and that they, through these writings that are in tablets and all these unbelievable myth stories that have been pulled from libraries, talk about them genetically kind of engineering people, taking, clay and blood from God and making this new worker bee, this new kind of worker human. And that is really our origin story. That's the jump. That's how genetically we've got these odd pieces that don't seem to connect.
Why are the Anunnaki, or at least those who believe these theories about them, such central figures in these ancient astronaut theories? Why do people look at these texts and look at these, what I'm going to call myths, and it screams extraterrestrial to them?
I think it's because they seem to appear in these moments in history where there are these massive jumps. In 4,500 BC, 5,000 BC, you're talking about all of a sudden agriculture and mathematics, written word, all of these things that are just catapulted in at this unbelievably expedited kind of pace. It just feels like it connects dots that we've struggled to connect.
But that's not a good reason to believe something. Evidence is a good reason to believe something. Not that there's these dots that aren't connected and this explanation feels good. I am using your words against you. Maybe it's more complicated than that, but I can only take you at what you say and you can respond to what I just said.
100%. Well, I would say this. If you're a person out there then who says, well, listen, I acknowledge that ancient writings can be true. I believe in the Bible, or I believe in stories from the Bible. I think they may have been shaped or molded. Well, guess what? The story of Noah and the flood is written by the Sumerians based on the Anunnaki long before the Bible. The story of a flood caused by the gods, punishing the people of Earth, notifying this person to build a boat. This is all written in a flood story, and that the Anunnaki were torn, that there were gods that didn't want to wipe the humans off the earth. There were ones that were tired of the noise that they made. They were that they were like populating too quickly. I mean, when you're reading stuff about that from 4,500 BC, talking about, oh, the gods were frustrated because everybody was just having sex with each other and making too much noise, you're like, wow. I mean, that they really nailed us as people if they were just making this up. But there's this flood story that is written long before the Bible that literally depicts the story of a boat and all of it. So again, they just seem to be present in these key moments.
When we come back with Noah Cappe on Noah versus the Unknown, we will discuss some of the strange technology depicted in ancient texts and drawings of this potential race, group, gods, deities, who knows what they were, the Anunnaki, as we discuss the Anunnaki. That made no sense, but we're coming back with Noah in a second.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Sierra, you'll always find apparel, footwear, and gear for 20 to 60% less than department and specialty store prices. But right now, it's clearance time, so you can save even more on everything you need to get active and outside. Visit your local Sierra store today.
Keep listening to The Last Show with David Cooper, because the alien invasion can wait. The Last Show with David Cooper.
It's Noah versus the Unknown. We are joined by Noah Cappe discussing the ancient Anunnaki, a group that some people think were deities, others think were ancient aliens, some think were just myth. I'm leaning towards that. Noah is leaning more towards wonder, as he often does. Noah, welcome back.
Hey, man. Wow. This is about to get even wackier, if you can believe it.
For those just tuning in, very quickly recap in a very kind of just factual way who the Anunnaki were.
The Anunnaki are apparently a group of visitors from the sky, an advanced race that have been sharing technology, wonder, education, information with us for a long time, and seem to be kind of stitched into the fabric of our history.
And they show up in texts of Sumerian origin, of Babylonian origin, of Assyrian origin. They're just sort of this ancient group of maybe deities, gods. The texts depict them differently, and we're discussing who they might have been.
For me, there's a couple of things. I definitely want to talk about the Sumerian kings list, because again, this is another one of those pieces of evidence where you can sit there and say, well, it's just like silliness. It's just myth. It's whatever. But again, why is that always the default? Why were there so many people being so silly with clay intricate carving tablets throughout history? Why do we take the ones that say this happened, we believed in this, religion was whatever, but we don't believe the ones that depict the Sumerian kings list, for example? This is an unbelievable discovery that is a listing of the kings that have ruled this planet since the beginning of its time. And this list goes all the way back to Alulim, which is apparently the first king who existed and ran for 28,800 years.
Whoa.
All right. Now, this list goes through an unbelievable amount of time through history with names, years that they were kings, all of it. And as it gets closer and closer to kind of what we would look at our time period, the ranges seem to get actually quite smaller. And after what would probably be a cataclysmic event somewhere between 10,000 BC, where you've got Göbekli Tepe, Atlantis, all these advanced civilizations that are just gone, to 5,000 BC, where it's like humans are starting again, coming off of this flood, off of these cataclysmic events. The numbers drop down. Gilgamesh, the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is one of the first stories that really a lot of like myths and writings are pulled from, talks in unbelievable depth about the Anunnaki, his relationship with them, his search for their technologies, all of this unbelievable stuff. His rule is depicted as 126 years. So the Sumerians' Kings List is another one of those documents where it's just like, if this is a gag, shout out to whoever it was, because you really took the time to build this thing out.
Let's talk about some of the tech that the Anunnaki may have shared with us. You're talking about a quantum leap, your depiction, not mine, in human technology, where we go from like basically primates to agriculture, civilization. You're saying there's some missing explanation there. And please correct me because I'm putting words in your mouth.
Look at a picture. For me, reading about the Anunnaki was one thing. The second I started seeing the carvings, the second I put my eyes on the images, I mean, I'd be shocked if you could look at them and not think of a more grandiose story unfolding. Some of these carvings are so huge. Some of these reliefs, these three-dimensional winged figures, are so massive. You're like, there's nothing like it in history. They look like gods. If you were making a movie and you were casting and costuming gods, you have to see these carvings. They are massive figures. They are physically ripped, huge specimens. They've got wings, which often depict flight or the ability to whatever. Then they've got two very unique things. One is what people call the wristwatch. In all of the depictions of these gods, they've got what look like wristwatches on. And there's a big circle dial in the middle. And in that dial is this geometrical shape. It's so weird.
How do we know that isn't just like a sundial Casio kind of vibe?
we can't.
Or just jewelry.
Maybe it is just jewelry, but there's nothing like that or depicted like that at that time. It is so unusual and so out of place. The other thing in what you'll see in most of the carvings is, and again, we could do a whole episode on this, the handbag. The handbag is this really odd image of what looks like a purse, just like a small handbag that is in, dude, when I tell you that this thing pops up in every God's hand in every ancient culture in every part of the world. Mayan gods are holding them. Anunnaki gods are holding them. Egyptian gods are holding them. You're talking about thousands and thousands of years, different time periods. You're talking about tens of thousands of miles spread across different continents before people were traversing oceans. How are all of these gods holding the exact same object?
What's in the box? I mean, what's in the handbag?
What's in the bag? Don't let them look in the bag.
Tell me, what do you think this bag is? To me, it's okay. It's, rulers got to carry stuff.
Listen, and that's obviously, someone's going to jump in and be like, well, it's a bag.
That's me. I just did that.
Yeah, they're sprinkling seeds. It's, thing, whatever. But how does every culture depict the bag exactly the same? And don't say, well, there's only one way to draw a bag. Ask 10 people to draw a bag and see if they all look exactly the same.
But here's where we come to a head, which is, you say, how do you explain that? And it's okay to say, I don't know.
It is okay to say that, but you also have to, in that I don't know space, go, I don't know, because there's dots that we can't connect with the view that we have of our history.
Sure.
There's no way that this civilization and this civilization could have exchanged information for these reasons.
Well, you can't say there's no way. I mean, they might have had a telegraph. They might have had technology we don't know about that they invented.
They might have had somebody who was able to interact with all of them and teach.
Or maybe they were able to sail across the continents and share stuff over a 10,000 year period that we just don't know that happened, but it could have happened. I'm just saying there's a lot of plausible explanations to say that extraterrestrials or the Anunnaki were from this dark planet that visited us. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying you need really, really compelling evidence. But I'm with you. It does spark wonder, and it does make you question how these images could have been depicted by ancient civilizations that weren't in contact.
Absolutely. I mean, again, for people who get a chance, just type in Anunnaki carvings and take a look at some of these images because you'll see things. Just, I mean, stuff that looks like DNA strands, plants growing out of. I mean, we've talked about this before with the Voynich manuscript and these drawings that are just so oddly out of place.
Sure.
This is a weird story.
Why do you think people are so interested in this stuff now? Is it that we're craving a myth of creation from outer space? Is it because we have the technology to look out into the cosmos and we don't quite know about how life started here on Earth, like what they call it abiogenesis? They still don't quite know how the first microbes or whatever formed. Do you think it's our basically use of the internet that's getting people so curious right now?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that one question, who are we? Why are we here? It's a one question with A and B, have existed forever. I would imagine that Neanderthals, when they developed whatever to today, everybody asked that question. But now we've got access to so much more information. We're learning more and understanding more about our history, about the universe. Look, quantum madness, man. Well, this is a bigger picture than we realized.
No, I think it's valid. As we get more science, people get more educated, as we get better technology, these age-old questions of where did we come from, we get new lenses from which to look at them. Noah, what a pleasure it was having you on the show.
Always a pleasure, sir. Thanks for having me back.
That was Noah Cappe for Noah versus the Unknown. After the break, the science behind forgiving and forgetting. Turns out, when we forgive, we don't forget, but it shifts the memory. How? We'll talk to a neuroscientist and get an intimate portrait of what emotional fading is, episodic fading, how your brain processes the noble act of forgiving. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
We're here because your heightened awareness deserves heightened entertainment. The Last Show with David Cooper.
They say forgive and forget, but the science says that's not quite right. My guest today, a psychology and neuroscience researcher at Duke University, whose research shows that forgiveness doesn't erase the memory of something bad that happened. It just changes how we feel about it. From petty grudges to major wrongs, the brain science of letting go. That's what we're here to chat about with Gabriela Fernández-Miranda. Gabriela, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me, David.
Let's get to the heart of your research. When someone says, I forgive you, what happens to the brain? Or do we rewrite the past? Do we change the emotional soundtrack? Let's talk about this.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting because you're mentioning when one says, I forgive you, but that has some process behind, until you get to the point of forgiving, right? So you would say, some people say exactly that, forgive and forget, but that doesn't seem to be the case according with what we have found in our research, right? What we see is that the memories that we have, of our wrongdoings, do change, but they don't change in terms of we forgetting the characteristics of those episodes. So we actually do remember, the specific details. So we remember the people that were around, we remember the objects, but our emotions do change. And that's what would be different in terms of not only what I tell to you, I forgive you. So that's a way of expressing that my emotions towards you have changed, but it also represents actual changes in the body.
So it should be more forgive and remember, but with the memory changed, rather than forgive and forget.
Exactly. That's what we would say.
Your study shows that people don't forget the facts, but what shifts is sort of emotional pain. Is my understanding correct there?
Yes. So what happened is basically that when you experience a wrongdoings, you have really bad feelings, especially if that's very hurtful, right? So you feel very negatively. You also have like very strong, very intense feelings. So that can be like anger, sadness, and that makes you feel really bad. It can be the case that after that, whenever you remember that wrong, you also feel those feelings. And that is usually related to not having forgiven the perpetrator, right, of the wrongdoing. However, it seems to be, according to our research, that when you forgive, those emotions change. So the emotions associated with this remembering moment, when you bring to your mind the memory, are just different. So you don't feel any those like negative or intense feelings anymore. So let's say like the anger is less strong, the sadness is less strong, but you still remember the things. You know what happened. That's what you mentioned about the facts, right? It's not that they go away.
I am in a long, protracted fight with my older brother. I mean, sometimes I don't even remember what started it like 13, 14 years ago. But the pain of it is kind of faded, and I don't know that I've forgiven him or he's forgiven me. Are there two kinds of fading of this pain, one over a long period of time and then one kind of dramatically when someone forgives you and it fades?
Oh, well, that's a great question. And it's also a difficult one, right? Because it might be the case that I did something like a specific thing wrong to you. Like, let's say that, well, honestly, infidelity is the big example that a lot of people use, right? So I learned that this happened and I was that was very painful for me. And then you have like a specific memory there. Like I know what happened, and there's a memory that I can actually bring to my mind. And the emotions when I remember that instance change.
Would an example be like if your partner cheated on you or an ex-girlfriend or boyfriend cheated on you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a perfect example. And let's say that when you find out about it, like you're angry and the emotions are really strong, and then over time that can change. So maybe, I don't know, 10 years after that, you remember that moment and it's like, it doesn't feel that bad anymore, right?
Yeah.
What you are mentioning, it's a little bit more complicated because it's like a long-term fight. You actually even mentioned, like, I don't even remember when this started, and probably that's not right.
There was one episode where I got in a big fight with him 12 years ago, but it was so long ago, you know?
Uh-huh.
It's like I remember what happened, but I don't care. But I cared so much in 2012 when it happened.
But let me ask you, do you remember what happened?
Yes.
Like if you tried...
Vividly.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But yeah, I think that we all of us have that kind of experience. And thank you for bringing like your example to the case. But yeah, basically, maybe you are not willing like to restart a regular relationship with him. But for what you tell me, it seems to be that you don't feel exactly how you felt at that moment. So I would also say that forgiveness is not like a yes and no experience. It's more about like being more forgiving or less forgiving.
Gradually over time.
Exactly. And it can also be that there's like a long time and your emotions don't change, even if the period is so long. So that's complicated because there's a lot of variability, like between different subjects. Yeah.
So that's the kind of like long-term, little bit over time, emotions fade. What about if something dramatic happens, like an ex cheats on me, and then a year later I get a forgiveness letter?
Okay.
Would I ruminate less if that happened to me?
Well, that's another thing. And it's like, it seems to be that when you are asked for forgiveness, like a person actually recognizes the harm she or he did, and they like ask you to forgive them for that, it's much more likely for you to forgive them, right? Because you actually feel that they regret and they kind of understood what happened. But it doesn't guarantee that you are going to actually forgive them. But it plays, let's say, an important role in how forgiveness works.
So let's go more specifically to your research. What were some of the takeaways from what you did?
Well, so basically, I would say that there are like two main things. The first one is indeed that when people remember those episodes, those specific wrongdoings, they actually still remember the event. So they are able to think about the objects that were around, the people that were around, how they were feeling at that moment, but they kind of distance themselves for those emotions. So that's what I felt when the event occurred. And this is how I'm feeling right now. And how I am feeling right now is less like intense and less negative. However, we still have the episodic details. And when I say episodic details, I mean like the particular details of the episode. We remember when we bring them to mind. So what I would say is that specifically that's the big takeaway of the research. But we also found that this change in emotions has an impact on the way that we act towards the wrongdoer. So maybe the way in which you act towards your brother or towards your ex-girlfriend, so that you have like less willingness to take revenge or like to be avoidant towards them, or that you also like that you want to be more, let's say, good towards them, or like desire the better for them.
Is there such a thing as too much forgiveness? Like, should I try to apologize once and then let it sit and set proper boundaries? Or if there's someone I wronged, I should be asking for forgiveness every time I see them?
Well, the thing is like, the small difference there is that one thing is asking for forgiveness. And I think that depends a lot on like the boundaries the person makes. But the other thing is actually forgiving, like you are forgiving this other person. And I would say that in both cases, there are limits, particularly in forgiven. When you are in risk, it's better not to do.
Well, Gabriela Fernández-Miranda is a psychology and neuroscience researcher at Duke University. Gabriela, I've enjoyed the chat. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
After the break, a content warning. Listener discretion advised for sensitive people or those with small children. We will talk about sex myths, specifically as it comes to sex toys. Hopefully you'll learn a thing or two and things will get spicy.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Member Week is here at Lowe's. Don't miss your chance to get up to 40% off hundreds of items like paint, faucets, vanities, doors, and more. Shop our exclusive deals happening in-store and online now through July 18th. Not a member? Join My Lowe's Pro Rewards for free today and get ready to save more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Please be advised that the following program contains audio content that may be graphic and potentially triggering for some listeners. This content may include descriptions or sounds that some may find disturbing. Listener discretion is strongly advised. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
Things are about to get salacious as we discuss sex myths. That's right, things you think might be true about sex that aren't. We are joined by sex expert with a degree from the Groupon School of Sex Courses. His name is Tony Five, foreign correspondent.
David, when I think of sex, I think of that instrument that Lisa Simpson plays.
Oh, that's the sax, Tony. It's not.
Okay, well, very similar, my friend. As you know, David, I'm a sex expert from Groupon, but we actually have a real life sex expert. Is that not true?
That is true. We are joined by marketing communications manager at sexual wellness and sex toy company LELO, Amandine Ranson, to discuss myths, and she's an actual expert. Amandine, welcome in.
Thank you, guys. So good to see you.
Great to see you. Yeah.
I think a lot of people have misconceptions about what is true and what is not, and a lot of myths get thrown around when it comes to sex. Do you have any that come to your mind, Amandine?
Sure. Then maybe one would be that sex toys is only for women.
I know that's a myth.
I don't.
Yeah, that's a myth.
I went to Toys R Us the other day. I could find nothing.
Tony, no. That's a different toy store you went to.
Okay, carry on, Amandine. You go.
Well, everybody needs like to get like pleasure, but also, I mean, sex toys have been a really nice tool like to get to know your pleasure better. And it can be, very good for women as much for men as well, finding some time, like even if it's just for, your own pleasure that you like to have it on your own, also like by sharing, it helps you like getting to know the other better as well, what he likes, what she likes, what they like. It's a amazing tool. And I would say definitely not only for women. I'm looking at you now, Tony.
It improves intimacy, doesn't it? It brings people together. And apparently sex toys have been around for centuries, right? They've been like basically any sort of phallic shaped images and so on have been used for so many centuries. It's just like nowadays we have products that are like AI and connected and all that sort of stuff. But it's fascinating.
There was the fifth object that has been like electronized in the whole world,
Oh, wow.
I was talking about this with someone else. In the last 30, 20 years, even 10 years, there's been a class of toys for women that are like positive and negative air pressure on female specific parts. But there's also like toys for men that men can use and that are designed and built specific for men.
The vacuum cleaner.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
the Dyson.
Yeah, like a Dyson. This one, it has like pulsed air inside so that it doesn't actually have direct contact to the special like part of women. But basically that it trickles like this specific part, but without like vibrating. And because this inner part has like 8,000 to 12,000 like nerves, then it's like on the tip of the iceberg, you see, like just the tip of the iceberg, but then he has like all the roots. And this is like the inner part of women. And this is what it's been stimulating.
So it blows air. So technically I can use it to pleasure my partner and inflate my bicycle tire. Brilliant.
We never tried, but let us know if it works.
Other myths that come up, like, I don't know, I like this one, that you're either naturally good or naturally bad at sex, and it's not like a skill that you learn.
Oh, that can't be true. I was always very bad, David, and as much as I've trained, I'm never going to get better. Amandine, have you got any advice?
Well, you need to be interested in the matter. I'm sorry, Tony.
Fair enough.
Are you?
Going to one Groupon class isn't going to cut it.
Well, it's funny, like you say that. People are a lot more open. So listeners, like, you wouldn't hear this sort of conversation many years ago, right? People talking so openly about. I remember I had to get friends to go and buy me condoms from the pharmacy. I was so scared.
You were too embarrassed?
Yeah, I was. I asked my friend who was way more confident than me to go into a chemist and buy me condoms.
That's why you asked me to go in the store the other week.
Yes, David. Yeah, that and a packet of minty fruit refreshers. Yep.
It's better to have like fresh, breath than it's.
Yeah, fresh breath. Exactly.
So for people who think they should either naturally be good or bad, are there like resources that they can go to, or should they be reading online, reading books? What should people do to get better?
And you just need to know, from what we hear and learn and read is just you need to be interested in the other person and getting, to know them better. That's like one thing. And being curious about the other, what's their pleasure, because if you like giving pleasure, you like to receive for sure. But this is a shared experience. Otherwise, you just make love with yourself, right?
Yeah, and it's about not shaming people, being quite open about the conversation and the intimacy, right? Not everything has to lead to something, right? It can just be giving the person mutual pleasure, and just like for me, it's all about watching Netflix. Yeah, and we love it. So as long as we get to the end of the show, everyone's a winner. And in your demographic, what's the split between sort of male and female purchasing these sort of things?
It's a very good question, actually, like 50-50. So we don't know, why they're, buying it. Some, like you have men buying for their girlfriends, for example, like the other way around as well. But and it's, the core would be like between 25, 40, but we have anybody from like 18 to 70, 80 more.
Wow, so a 50-50 split, so 98% in total, which is amazing.
You're going to love this myth, Amandine, because you work at a sex wellness and sex toy company. But I think there are people out there, and we want to dispel this myth, that if you bring toys into the bedroom with your partner, you're somehow bad at sex. You're somehow not as good. You somehow given up or lost something or you're not quite doing it right. And to me, that's such BS. Do you ever encounter people who have this view?
Yeah, and what we had a survey that showed that also men, I mean heterosexual men being in a couple, they were scared of their women having a sex life because they were jealous of it, you know?
Jealous of a thing. Wow.
Yes. Yeah, and this is actually something that, I mean, I'm obviously pro-feminist, you know, but this is also actual for men as well. I mean, this is part of the conversation. It should be just an object, as you say. It's like sex tech is there like for the service of people, not the other way around. I mean, I know that we can get married to a robot now in Japan, but let's be real, right?
But can you get desensitized to it? Like a lot of people have got these addictions like pornography and so on. Do you think people could get addicted to to these sex toys where they can no longer get pleasure from humans?
There are no significant studies about it. Obviously, I mean, some sexologists and even GPs are recommend, you know, to be, I mean, you don't have like to say like, oh, just use it, you know, once a day or something like that. It's not just like that. It's like any kind of addiction. Like if you are addicted to, I don't know, chocolate, then it's going to be bad for your health, you know. And it's just a tool. Again, what you say, like David, is a tool that is making your life better, but it's not replacing anything. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. Like there's those who have a glass of wine, and then there's others that struggle with alcohol. And just back to the original point, if you're there in bed with your partner and you're both having a good time, like who cares what objects or how you're doing it? That's fun sex with another person. There's no reason to be jealous of an object.
Exactly. Just don't use a cucumber because it might melt. That's it.
Wow. Great advice.
Great advice,
David.
And we'll leave it at that.
So I am going to go back to my greengrocers now and return the 4 cucumbers and 1 orange that I bought earlier.
Amandine Ranson is a marketing communications manager at sexual wellness and sex toy company LELO. Amandine, always great having you on the show. Thanks for coming back.
Thank you so much, guys.
Amandine, always a pleasure. Yeah, you could take that restraining order off of me now. We'll speak to you very soon.
Tony Five is our foreign correspondent. Coming up after the break, Tony and I explore the impossible weight of government bureaucracy. What do I mean? Well, I want you to think about all those forms, all those appointments, all those things you need to do as you interface with the government. Taxes, licenses, passports. If you've ever had an awful experience with bureaucracy, we want to hear from you. The number 1-888-505-6644. That number repeated in just a second. What's your horrible bureaucracy story? Like the longest you've had to wait for the approval of a government form.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The man is here. He is foreign correspondent Tony Five. I am David Cooper. This is the last show. We are discussing the unbearable weight of bureaucracy. What does that mean? We'll find out. Tony, welcome in.
David, what a time to be alive, my friend. What a time to be alive where bureaucracy reigns supreme.
It certainly does. I was showing you the other day. So I live in the U.S. I'm not American. I have... No, I have permanent residency, a green card, so to speak.
Are you an alien then? Is that what they call an alien?
Yes, I'm a legal alien.
Oh, legal alien. Carry on.
I have my papers, but I was traveling in Spain, and as I said a few weeks ago, I got all my stuff stolen, including my passport and my green card.
It sounds like an absolute nightmare. Just speaking to you while that was happening, it just gave me shivers because being somewhere foreign anyway is like strange because I travel a lot, but having nothing and in this day and age where your life is on a couple of things like your phone, your laptop, and having a passport. I mean, you're stuck, right? It's not like in olden times where you could have a bit of paper or get it really done quickly.
You know, my trip date to leave was, I think, maybe 6 days from the day my stuff got stolen. So I had enough time to go to the consulate, get a new passport. But I kind of felt trapped because no airline is going to let you on a plane without a passport.
Absolutely.
And I did feel like I was stuck in Spain, even though I was supposed to be there, even though I didn't miss, well, I did miss my departing flight, but that's a different story. I left on time for the most part. And yeah, I just felt so stuck. And of course, I went to the consulate. I got a temporary passport, fine. But I need my permanent resident card for the U.S. So it's like I got to deal with two governments here. I got to deal with the Canadian government, fine, that took a few weeks. The wait time right now for a replacement green card,
yes,
I think is about 27 months.
That's at least 2 years.
It's over 2 years, Tony. You're great at math.
Right.
And, but I basically need documents for like two reasons. One, I need to prove that I have the right to live and work here if ever anything should happen to me. Like if I get arrested or I want a new job, they sort of check your papers when you get a new job. Not that I love this job, but so I need my papers to travel. I can't just enter the U.S. with my Canadian passport. I got to enter the U.S. with my documents, my correct documents.
I've just realized, does that mean you can't leave the U.S. now for 27 months?
Yes, but they have a process to give you a temporary green card-like document.
Okay.
And that takes 2 weeks, and that involves like the central office for, immigration, passing it to the New York office, an officer in New York printing out what looks like a cue card. It looks like a little piece of cardboard with that some officer just signs, and it's like, yeah, this person's a valid immigrant for a year while their application's pending.
I mean, for me, growing up in the UK and seeing what, for example, the DMV is like, or bureaucratic small central government offices, I imagine it to be like this. Now, you tell me how close I am to this. It's usually a large greyish kind of office with like a woman or man behind it who looks incredibly bored, very aggressive, and just very, very much like demanding of you. It's full of people who look totally depressed, who maybe sit there for the whole day, and then all you can hear in the background is a fan and like stamps. Duduk, duduk, duduk. Now, is it like that at all? Or is that just a complete fallacy?
Well, you got to go to this office. Fortunately, they actually mailed it to me, so I didn't have to go to this office. But most people have to go into the office, wait like a whole business day for some officer to stamp a piece of paper that's just a temporary thing. And the government's putting in all these resources to get you a temporary green card. And I'm like, why didn't they just put in those resources to process my actual one? But it just got me thinking, all those paperwork things that everyone has to do, like taxes and driver's licenses and passport renewals. And I'm like, how does anyone live in the world at all? That's like my basic premise here.
It's so true. Like, how many of our callers are spending days and days and days just standing in queues for the silliest things?
I remember when this is going to go dark a little bit, but when you were depressed and unable to work on this show, and I was able to get through to you a bit and text you a bit, all you could say was, oh, I'm back on my taxes.
Yes.
I'm back on my bank filings. I have all this stuff to get caught up on. How am I ever going to do it? And I was just telling you, you'll do it one thing at a time. You'll start. You'll have a lot left, but at least you'll be 5% through it. And then the next day you'll get 10% through it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. But I'm just like, this is what they don't tell you as a kid. The unbearable weight of paperwork on us as adults.
Okay, right, let's go through the basics for me. So it would be like a council tax. Then it would be all your utility bills, right? Now, most of them, for the majority of people, are kind of done by direct debit. So automatic payments, okay? But there are certain things that you have to interact with. There are certain things that people listening now will have to kind of give updates or give readings.
Mailing your landlord the rent check. I mean, a lot of landlords don't do a electronic thing. So every month you got to get an envelope, you got to get a stamp, you got to write a check. It's just a small thing, but it all adds up.
Right. So you're talking to somebody who's modestly intelligent and just was very ill. But what about the older people who aren't as technology savvy, who don't have a son or a daughter or a nephew who's internet savvy to be able to do this? I think they're really focusing on getting rid of these people who just can't do stuff. There are some things in the UK which I'm sure they're going to outlaw, where if you can't do a certain bill online, then they charge you extra for going to a place, because obviously it takes up more of a resource, a person. That is horrific, mate.
Yeah, no, like my cell phone company does that. If I do all electronic, they give me a few bucks off. And I don't think anything of it. I just enroll. But not everyone has like computer literacy.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. There's a whole gamut of people.
Like older folks didn't grow up with computers.
100%. And they're being punished for their age. Essentially, they're being punished because of their age. And it's really sad. And sometimes I think when I'm that old, what am I going to be punished for that, like, my younger nephews and nieces are going to be able to do without blinking?
That's the great question. Have you ever had like an organization spell your name wrong on a document? Like when I got my first driver's license in California, when I moved there, the DMV spelled my name wrong 3 times when I was transferring my license from international to like state. And every time they had to void my application completely, and it was about an extra hour wait. I spent like 3.5 hours. Finally, I left that building somehow with a temporary driver's license with my name spelled right. But I'm just like, how are these systems so archaic? And I imagine if I walked out of there with a misspelled name, that would have been a problem for my whole life.
Dude, this is my life. So obviously, Tony, very easy to spell. Tony. Really simple. No one can do it. Now, it was a misprint because they put in pony, as in the little horse. Okay? Now, I kept telling the actual council, my local council, my name isn't Pony, it's Tony. Well, sorry, sir. That's the name on the file. Yeah, but nobody in the world is called Pony bar a pony. There is nobody in the world called Pony, whatever. I showed them my driver's license. I showed them my photo ID. I showed them my birth certificate. I had all of my other bills, my utility bills, saying my real name. They would not. I had 3 physical arguments on the phone to people that just said, I'm sorry, sir, we can't do this. And we have something called GDPR in the UK, which is like you can't release information unless the person who owns it can give permission. And because I wasn't Pony, I couldn't give myself permission to change my own name.
Were there any consequences for having this thing in the wrong name?
Absolutely. I missed the payment, and obviously that affects your credit reference. This happened a few years ago, and I had to actually physically go into the council office, showed an actual person my paperwork, and then they changed it. And then I had to chase up the credit reference agency because I was in the purpose of getting a mortgage. And this is what happens with bureaucracy. It's not one thing. So a simple thing, a simple funny thing, Pony to Tony is fine. But it has such an implication on your life that what do you do?
I just feel like there's people out there, one spelling mistake, or maybe like they got married and tried to change their last name, and it's one place in one, the name is one thing in one place and another name in another.
Yeah.
And they're just in this like legal bureaucratic limbo that takes hours and hours to solve. And I found myself, and I'm finding myself in this as I wait for my new documents.
I can't believe 27 months to get a bit of car. Surely, I would have assumed it's on a database somewhere and they just hit print and you're done, right?
I don't know the reason for it. I have my temporary, cardboard document that lets me travel, and I guess I'll use that while I wait. I'm here with Pony 5. It's the unbearable weight of bureaucracy. Thank you, Pony. I appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure, David.
Here's what I want you to think about during the next break. The unsung heroes of your life. Those times when someone you knew helped you in a way that really propelled your life forward, changed things for you. That is what we'll cover on Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, broadcasting's only mental health segment intended for a Thursday night that airs on a Wednesday. I'm David Cooper. This is The Last Show.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
When your therapist won't take your calls anymore, there's always The Last Show with David Cooper.
The unsung heroes of your life. Who has been extremely influential in your life, maybe even altered the course of it, and they're just someone great that you want to express gratitude to, an unsung hero. I'm here with Gary Direnfeld. It's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday, and that's what we'll be discussing. Gary, welcome to the show.
Always good to be with you, David. This is an interesting topic for me because I have one of those, unsung heroes or an influencer in my life who, over the years, I've been trying to track down so that I can thank him and let him know just how influential he's been.
Well, who was he?
This was a political science professor of mine in 1982. I received this conditional acceptance into the Masters of Social Work program. And the condition was that I get a B plus in a course in Canadian political science. So I signed up, summer course. And, I thought this course would be like, how many seats are there in the House of Commons? How many parties are there? No. This professor launches into Marxist, Leninist theory and...
Oh, he's why you're a communist.
Yeah, that's the influence. And my eyes glass over because I don't know, my brain just can't absorb the information he is delivering.
You enrolled in a class that had prerequisites that you did not have, kind of thing?
That's it, exactly. And now that I'm taking the class, I see my acceptance to the Master of Social Work program slipping away. I'm terrified. So I set up a meeting with the professor. I say, look, I need to pass your course with at least a B plus. I am already failing. I can promise you that if I get that B plus, I'll never become a political scientist. I will become a good social worker.
I promise you I'll stay away from your field if you pass me.
Exactly, because I just don't have it. So I say, instead of those essays, can I do these essays? More from a social work perspective in the Canadian context. He says, yeah, but I still have to show up to every class, read all the material, and I have to sit the final exam. Okay. So I get B pluses on those essays. I don't know if they were deserved or not, but I got B pluses. Then I'm sitting that final exam. David, I am sweating during this exam. My eyes glass over. And it's essay questions, you short answers. It's not true or false or fill in the blank. And I haven't a clue what the answers to these questions are. And I've done my homework.
I've been there. I'm sure a lot of people have been there, sitting at the exam desk with crossed eyes and just like, I'm not going to pass this course, or I'm not going to get the grade that I need for this course.
Yeah. So I put some pen to paper, but I knew that this was not passing material. I knew it. I got my grade back and I got that B plus. I owe my entire career to a poli-sci professor by the name of Dennis Coe from York University from 1980, I think it was 82, the summer of 1982. And I've never been able to find this guy to thank him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a footprint on the internet. So maybe he died in the 90s before, the internet. He doesn't exist.
Can't you contact the university or something? Like, I searched Dennis Coe political science, and the first thing I found on the internet was a post you made. Are you sure this person exists?
Yes. Yeah, look, maybe I have misremembered his name, but that's what I've got. And I post this story to my Facebook page every couple of years, hoping something, and people are pointing me to all sorts of Dennis Coes. Trust me, for those who want to be helpful to me, I have gone down all those avenues. They don't exist. But the thing I want to do is just thank this guy. I want to let him know how influential he was in setting the course of my professional life.
There are people in my life like that, but I feel like I know all of them. Like those that have helped me a lot at a critical turning point in my life. Opened a door when no one else could, that I was able to walk through what felt like no good reason. Yeah, I think we all have people like that in our life. I guess it's just a bit sad that you never got a chance to thank them.
I know. Listen, my grade 7/8 vice principal, I was sent to his office for fighting in the halls. It was grade 7 or 8, along with the guy who I was fighting with. And he looked at us both and said, "What were you doing?" And we said, "We were just sparring." Actually, we weren't angry with each other. We were just goofing around in the halls, but it was taken as a fight. We explained what we were doing. He kind of laughed it off and let us go. Bill Caldwell, VP, Woodland Senior Public School. My God, how far back does that go? The late 60s, early 70s, somewhere in there. I found him. We're Facebook friends. He's in his 80s, maybe he's pushing 90. What a great guy. And I phoned him up and we spoke. And he remembered me. And we talked about the kids from those classes and some of the teachers from those years. Another influential man who just showed kindness versus, discipline back in the day.
I had a math teacher, similarly, was just so supportive of me in class. And every time I got a good grade, he sort of gave me that. He saw me in a way that my parents didn't. I was in 6th grade. I was a little kid. And I'm just looking at a message I wrote to him in 2018 that...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wrote, "Thank you for taking the time for being so supportive back then. I think about how you taught often. Your support had a major effect in me studying computer science and math later in life, and now as my career as a software engineer," which I was in 2018.
Yeah.
And he just said "Yeah, no thanks, sure, no problem. I'm a teacher, and that's what I do." It's funny. I wonder if Dennis Coe doesn't even, no offense to you, but it's just a small act of kindness for him.
Yeah.
And for you, it's this...
It changes the trajectory of our lives.
There was someone who offered me a show on a radio station in 2016, and it was my first big show on a station that people actually listen to. He didn't have to do that. There was there's people in my life, and I think everyone's got people like that in their life where they give that small act of kindness, and it really has a huge impact on another person. You don't know sometimes when you're that kind actor.
Right. And I encourage people, think in those terms. Be that person. I happened to phone my physician to set an appointment today for a medical for travel insurance, of all things. Anyways, I'm there so infrequently, and yet the receptionist recognized my voice.
Nice.
And said, "Is this Gary?" I said, "How did you know?" "I know. It's you."
The pharmacy down the road, Walgreens, Dwayne Reed, whatever, they always take a long time. And I once lost my temper at an employee, and I shouldn't have, because they told me to wait 15 minutes and it was an hour and a half. I didn't scream. I'm I have a flight to catch. I just was firm. The woman now remembers my name, but she's very nice to me. And it's so weird when I walk into the pharmacy and she says, "Hi, David."
Just be influential, and kindness in and of itself is influential.
When we come back, we'll discuss someone in Gary's life who offered him a job when he had just been fired. Well, lost a job. Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
At Blinds.com, it's not just about window treatments. It's about you, your style, your space, your way. Whether you DIY or want the pros to handle it all, you'll have the confidence of knowing it's done right. From free expert design help to our 100% satisfaction guarantee, everything we do is made to fit your life and your windows. Because at Blinds.com, the only thing we treat better than windows is you. Visit Blinds.com now for up to 50% off with minimum purchase plus a professional measure at no cost. Rules and restrictions apply.
Broadcasting from the neutral zone, where every perspective gets diplomatic immunity. This is The Last Show with David Cooper.
We are talking the Unsung heroes of your life. Those who helped you during your life who had no business doing so. It's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday. I am joined by Gary Direnfeld, social worker, therapist. Gary, welcome back.
Good to be with you. There was this one other fellow, Walter Peterson. He owned a window manufacturing company. This goes back to, oh my goodness, 1989.
1907, 1912.
Thanks. 1989. I was working at Shadok McMaster Hospitals in Hamilton, and I was having an abysmal experience there. I handed in my resignation, and I was also recently married at the time, and it certainly didn't look good not having a job soon after being wed. We needed some windows for the cottage. I go and I visit Walter. I explain my situation. And this is a fellow who my dad had helped in the 1950s. German man, we're a Jewish family, and my dad offered him a place to live. No Jewish family in the 50s would have done that with a German fellow. And my dad took flack for that from other extended kin. Yet he and Walter became fast friends. My dad helped him out in business. And now I'm meeting with Walter years later. My dad has long since passed away. I explain my plight, and Walter looks at me and he offers me a job at twice my salary.
Twice your salary?
Yes.
That's a big bump.
Yeah, I needed work. I said yes. And, I went home, I told my wife, twice the salary. And a week before I was supposed to start, I had second thoughts. And so I met with Walter and I said, Walter, you have been so gracious in offering me a job at twice my salary. I can't take it. I can't start next week. And I apologize if that leaves you in the lurch. I said, I spent years studying to be a social worker and working as a social worker. That's my passion. That's what I want to continue. He looked at me and he said the following. First of all, Gary, no problem. You have to differentiate between temptation and opportunity. Clearly, I only tempted you.
Yeah.
Wow. That line, to differentiate between temptation and opportunity. Here it is. What year is this?
2013?
You're screwing with me. 2025. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And I use those words of wisdom that he gave to me. I've shared them with many, many people over the years to help them figure out what path they want to take. He was so influential, so positive, so gracious. And he's another fellow that I have thanked in the past.
Can you say more about that quote? Because I'm struggling to make sense of it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, to differentiate from temptation and opportunity. Look, something comes your way. It looks really good. That's the temptation, whatever it is. But is it really going to help you in the long run? Okay, so we have to differentiate. Is this a temptation or is it truly an opportunity? Will this truly help you through the years of your life, or is it that immediate fix?
Yeah, I got it now. It's like the first big job I took when I moved to Silicon Valley. I had two offers. One was for slightly more money, but it was kind of a dead end.
Yeah.
And the other was at a smaller growing company. And I just really liked the team and the projects that I'd be working on. And it was a little bit less money. Within 6 months, I think they gave me a pay bump to match the original. So it didn't even matter. But at the time, I was like, how can I turn my back on this extra money?
Right.
So I guess I have to go to this job that is kind of a dead end because it's better pay to begin with. And I did call someone who he probably wouldn't even remember, but he was someone who had been in the tech industry for like 30 years. He was a friend of my dad's. And I just asked him for advice. And he basically told me, you cannot go to this slightly more paying job. You have to go to this company where you think you can have the most growth. He said what you were told in just, not as impactful and as succinct a way.
Right. So look, we've been talking about people who are influential in our lives and sometimes remarkably influential, where they may not realize how influential they've been. And I like encouraging people to go back and thank them. Let them know. And then pay it forward. How are you going to be influential in the life of someone else? And the weird thing is, we don't always recognize what seems like a small gesture on our part makes such a huge, huge impact in the life of another.
How do you thank someone who opened a door for you, like your Professor Dennis Coe, when they had no business doing it, who you're not really well positioned to help? I mean, you're a student, he's a professor. There are many examples where people help you in this amazing way, and you can't really help them back. I think the best way to do it is when you have an opportunity to show a little kindness, to be an unsung hero in someone's life.
Be that person.
Be that guy.
Yeah, that's what I encourage. And I love hearing the stories of others about those persons who were influential in their lives too. And there's something about harking back to those moments. We feel more optimistic. We feel hopeful. We feel gratitude. From a mental health perspective, as an exercise, that in and of itself is fruitful. And so many people, I don't know statistically, most people must have at least one person who's been that person in their lives. And for many, it was an elementary school teacher.
Yep, for me, the teacher I thanked.
Yeah.
I remember I was living in Canada. I was young. I was maybe like 23. And I had this big, ridiculous fur hat I got in a thrift store, a big puffy winter coat. I had Sorel snow boots. I was in my car. I'd had snow tires, and I was driving, up north. There's a highway that drives north of Toronto. I was way past that. And I'm driving, and there's a snowstorm, and there's ice, and it's awful, and I'm fine. I got snow tires. I'm Canadian. I know how to drive in the snow. There's a car in the ditch, and it's still running. The lights are on, and there's these two people like out of this car in just like sweatshirts.
Oh, wow.
It's like minus a million outside, and it's a blizzard. And they're just out there staring at the car looking distraught. And so I get out, and they're like, "Oh, we're American. We rented this car." I'm like, "Does it have snow tires?" They're like, "No, I don't think so. I think now they force you to rent a car with snow tires, but back then they didn't." And they did not know what to do. They're like, "Should we call the police?" I'm like, "No, get back in the car, keep the engine running, don't get cold, call a tow truck company, make sure it's this kind of tow truck company and not a scammer, and don't try to dig yourself out, you'll get even more stuck." And I just they needed someone there to take charge who knew what
to walk them through. Yeah.
I was like their Canadian snow angel in my ridiculous fur hat. And I know I helped them because they could have gotten frostbite. I was that worried about them.
That's a great story. Be that person. So, the takeaway from our conversation today is, do hark back where you can. Thank the one or two or three who have been so influential in your life, and then be that person.
Gary, thank you again.
All the best.
That's the program. Thanks for tuning into it. Don't forget the last show is available as a podcast. You can subscribe to it in your favorite podcast app. More details are available on our website at www.lastshow.pizza. That's lastshow.pizza. There is no .com there. I am David Cooper, and this is definitely not the second show. We'll catch you tomorrow night.
Well, you've heard me on the radio and you've listened to my podcast. Well, now you can watch me on YouTube for thought-provoking conversation, fearless interviews that you won't get anywhere else. The Ben Mulroney Show every single day. So go to YouTube, subscribe to The Ben Mulroney Show, and never miss an episode.